Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So, this week I saw this interesting article about Paula Patton, and I want to share this article with you and share my thoughts about the article. So, if you all can bear with me, I will share my screen so that you can see the article yourself. Also, I will post a link to the article in the description box so that you all can read the article for yourself and judge it for yourself. Okay, so this is an article that I saw on BET. The article is entitled Paula Patton on Why She Doesn't Identify as Biracial. And I'm going to read some quotes from here. So if you can just bear with me 1 second. Hold on 1 second, everyone. So this is what she said. She said, I feel the exact same way. And she was referring to a quote from an actress, another actress. Um, Hold on 1 second. So this article says that Paula Patton opened up about race and why she does not identify as biracial. Her mother is white and her father is black. And also, this article actually refers to a quote from this actress, that she made a while ago. Um, and that quote is this: I find the term biracial offensive. It is a way for people to separate themselves from African Americans, a way of saying, I am better than that. And then she went on to share more thoughts. She said, I feel the exact same way. That's why, hold on 1 second. Yeah, she said, I feel the exact same way. That's not to say that I don't embrace my mother and everything that she brought to my life, but it was my mother who let me know that the world is going to see you as black, and that is who you are. So you don't have any questions about that. And then she went on to say this: I am very grateful for her. The politics of race in our country are such that when someone wants to make it very clear they're not black, it's a way to keep themselves separate from black people. And she goes on to say, we know we've had a long history in this country of it not being popular to be black. To be honest with you, I've always found that to be an offensive term. I am black and I embrace it. That's my family. So that's what she had to say about that. So let me stop sharing my screen and just provide my comments. So shout out to everyone in the chat. Um, I want to, just share my thoughts about this particular issue. I agree with her. And, many people have seen my videos, they've seen where I've talked about my position on, so-called biracial people uh, in this society. We live under a system where if somebody has any black in their DNA, this system defines them as black and treats them as such. Even for instance, a Barack Obama, even though he had a white mother and a black father, this society, in many respects, just viewed him as another black person and treated him as such in a lot of ways. But we'll go into that in a little bit later. But also, you look at a Colin Kaepernick, this society treated him as black, even though he's a biracial man. And there are so many other examples. And I do agree with her that term biracial is used in a way to separate biracial people from black people. It is another form of divide and conquer. Um, A lot of times by identifying as biracial, people are in fact saying that I'm not black. I'm outside of that black group. And there's a suggestion that somehow they are better. We know that in this society, whiteness is equated with, positive attributes, and blackness is equated with negativity. A lot of negative stereotypes are around just the terms black and white. Just like in that movie Malcolm X, they were just going through the dictionary of the different meanings of the word black and all the negativity associated with black. So it's no wonder that the first thing that people want to do is run away from blackness. And one way to do so, if somebody is biracial, is to call themselves biracial and completely not associate or not identify with blackness at all, and put themselves in a completely separate category. um, and the unfortunate thing is that you have many of these people that are quote unquote pro-black embracing this ideology that further separates and divides us. But they do it on the flip side. They basically say if you're not 100% African American or 100% black, you're not black. And so they use that to divide a group that's already a minority in this country. By that definition, many black people would not be considered black in this country if we were to say, if you're not 100% African American or 100% black, you're not black. Many of us wouldn't be classified as black. We would have a system, something like how they have in South Africa, where they have all these different categories of people, you know, perpetuating a divide and conquer type of situation. Um, where you have people of color being divided by their oppressor. We live in a society that um, gives privilege to people, and uses that to divide people. And that's what they've done. You have the colorism issue. You also have the issue of division between people who are American, for instance, born in America, versus black immigrants. And they are told, a lot of times that they're not like those African Americans, that the African American is lazy, that the African American is a criminal and trifling and not taking advantage of certain opportunities, and that somehow the immigrant is more hardworking and, more intelligent and all that kind of stuff. That's just another strategy of divide and conquer. And the sad thing is, not only is this division being perpetrated and perpetuated by the dominant white society that fuels this division, but it's also unfortunately perpetuated by, again, some of these people that are labeled as quote unquote pro-black, these people that are part of this so-called ADOS movement. And I've done many videos highly critical of them, where they in turn attack black immigrants. They in turn had the same kind of hostility towards black immigrants as some of our miseducated uh, black immigrants have towards black Americans. And it's all a part of a divide and conquer strategy. And we see this strategy play out on the continent of Africa, where the colonial powers pitted different ethnic groups against each other. They gave some ethnic groups certain benefits in society, certain perks and certain recognition and all that kind of stuff, while they ostracized other ethnic groups on the continent, fueling division between black people. And that's what you have with this whole situation involving biracial people. And the situation involving immigrants, the situation involving, colorism and all that kind of stuff. And at the end of the day, the society, despite, promoting these different divisions, still views the biracial person as just another N word, as just another black person. And again, as I earlier mentioned, you have the example of Barack Obama. And it's like you know, a simultaneous type of situation going on, where there's a certain amount of privilege, but with that privilege comes oppression as well. So, for instance, in American society, the fact that Obama is a biracial man made him more palatable, made him more acceptable by the dominant white society because he could have ads featuring his white mother, he could have ads featuring his white grandparents who raised him and all that kind of stuff. He could talk about his absent black father, and that just made him more acceptable because they saw the whiteness in him because of his white mother and white grandparents that raised him, because of his quote unquote white mannerisms and adoption of white culture and stuff, and his ability to navigate between white culture and black culture. That made him more acceptable to the white society, and that's the reason why many white people were more inclined to vote for Obama as opposed to someone who was, 100% African American, somebody who was darker skin and more quote unquote black and all that kind of stuff. They are less likely to support somebody like that. So yes, he had a certain amount of privilege just based on his biracial identity and based on his light skin and all that kind of stuff. But even that privilege did not exempt him from being oppressed in this society as a black man. Because even in the highest office in the land, this man was still viewed as nothing but the N word. He was still treated as the quote unquote N word. We've seen many examples of this. They had images of him depicting him as a terrorist, depicting him as a witch doctor. They questioned whether he was even an American, whether he was even born in this country. They used that whole birtherism ideology to try to undermine him. For the first time that I'm aware of, while he was giving a speech, the State of the Union speech, you had a congressman had the audacity to yell out that he's a liar. That's the ultimate form of disrespect, and his race had something to do with that kind of treatment that he faced. And you have all these other examples of racism that was directed towards Obama because of his color, because of they had images depicting him as an ape, depicting the first lady and the family as a family of chimpanzees. That's the way they viewed him, and that's the way they treated him. So despite the fact that there was some recognition, some privilege that he experienced because of his identity, because of his skin color, he was still treated as a black person. And then you also have examples of other, plenty of other examples of other biracial people that were treated like the N word. You had the example of Colin Kaepernick, despite the fact that he's biracial. At the end of the day, he was just another black man. And that's part of the reason why they were able to ostracize him and blackball him and blacklist him. And to this day, he's not with the NFL because of the discriminatory treatment that they subjected that brother to. And you have the example of a young biracial man by the name of Dante Wright, who was killed by the police. The police, when they shot and killed that brother, they didn't say, "Is your mother white?" They didn't care nothing about him being quote unquote biracial. They saw a black man and they treated him as such by killing that brother without any kind of legal justification. So I just wanted to share those thoughts, and I'm really interested in hearing from you. I'm going to read through your comments. And respond to the things that you have said, but I just had to address this issue because I hear it all the time. Like a lot of times, I hear um, a lot of the people that are quote unquote pro-black trying to basically say that these biracial people aren't black, uh, and try to basically ostracize them and all that kind of stuff and have them basically outside of the community, even though in many ways a lot of them have contributed to a lot of biracials have contributed to the struggle. People of different backgrounds, for instance, even somebody is like Malcolm X. His mother was biracial, so he's not 100% quote unquote black. And we know about the great contribution that Malcolm X had to our movement. By these ultra pro black people standards, a lot of people that contributed greatly to our movement would have been alienated and ostracized and not, able to contribute. I mean, like a Malcolm X. You have somebody like a Bob Marley, one of the most conscious uh musicians ever, that promoted a lot of positive black imagery and messages and stuff like that. Somebody like him would have been ostracized. Somebody like a Frederick Douglass, who had mixed racial identity, would have been ostracized by some of these ultra extreme people that want to, ostracize biracial people. Even though, somebody like a Frederick Douglass was an abolitionist. He fought for the freedom of black people, the literal liberation of black people, the literal liberation of black people. So those are my thoughts. I'm going to see what you all are saying in the comments. I want to thank you all for tuning in. So somebody asked, what does she identify as? She identifies as black. And again, I'll post a link to the article so people can check it out. Yeah, so somebody mentioned that they've heard many biracials say that they're biracial or mixed, and very few ones have referred to themselves as black. Some have even said that they're white when they actually look black. And I think that, I mean, that's a valid point. Like a lot of, biracials people have said that, a lot of them have identified themselves as biracial. And I think that that's more people are saying that nowadays than before. Before, many biracial people identified as black. A lot of them did, but now it's become more acceptable for them to say that they are biracial. Um, and many of them are, saying that. And I just think that that's a part of, just a lot of the programming that we see, as I mentioned before, like with blackness being equated with negativity. So, of course, people are going to try to say that they're not black and that there's something else other than black. And you have a history of people actually passing for white in this country, people of mixed backgrounds, pretending to be white because of the oppression equated with blackness, because of the negativity equated with blackness. So you do see that. So I think that that's a valid point. So let me see what people are saying. Just bear with me a second. Okay, just bear with me a second. And I hear what you're saying, Elaine, about the one drop rule and all that kind of stuff, because you have some people that may have like, somebody way back in their bloodline is black, and because of that, they're automatically defined as black. So for me, like it's a combination of things that go into identity. It's not just it's not solely, whether or not, they're 100% black. I don't think that that's the sole definition. Like if somebody is biracial, as far as I'm concerned, and they identify with black people and they, sympathize and, they support the black community, as far as I'm concerned, they are black. Um, so I don't I don't make that distinction. I'm not going to say, oh, because they're not because they're not, both of their parents aren't black, that they're not black. I'll say if they identify with black people and they support black people, then I support them and I do recognize them as black. That's the way I see it. But if somebody is, for instance, they don't identify with being black, and you know, and it's not a situation where one of their parents is black and it's like, way down the line, somebody, generations ago was black, then obviously in that situation, I'm not going to see them in the same way. I'm not going to see them as black. I wouldn't define them as black. So yeah, those are my thoughts. I just wanted to share them with you, and I'm really interested in what you all have to say. What do you think about Paula Patton's statement? Do you think she is biracial? Do you think she's denying her identity by saying that she's black, basically? Um, so yeah, tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, subscribe, like the video, share the video, hit that notification bell so that you'll know when I post new content on here. Peace and blessings. Have a great day.